Hello, good morning. Humans do silly, silly things. Especially these days, there's a couple of things that are really, really silly. We're going to talk about them this morning. It's 7 a.m., folks. Good morning. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a nice morning out there, getting things done. It is Thursday. It is April 22nd, 2021. Before we get started here, I just want to wish a happy birthday to my best bud of over 25 years, Clayton Bartner, best man at my wedding, always there for me when I need it, funniest person I know. We're usually laughing at things that no one else can actually explain. But happy birthday, buddy. Have a great day. And yeah, and we're talking about doing silly things, things that really are not rational or but seem to people seem to just justify it. And just a couple of things I wanted to bring up. I'm not going to go too deep in this format here, but I thought that I would just bring it up because there seems to be a trend that's going around where it seems that you can do silly things and say silly things and make it a rule, and some people will be like, yeah, that's fine, that seems to be okay. But then if you step back for a second, and I think this is something that we all should probably do every once in a while, is just kind of just step back for a second and just kind of look at the situation, look at it in black and white, stay away from the gray areas for a second and see if there's something rational about it. The first thing that I thought to myself recently was this whole eating in restaurants thing that was happening especially in New York. Not so much here where I live, but in New York City, indoor dining had been canceled, right? So they moved when it was warm. They moved things outside, but it was cold, so they built a little houses outside, so you can be outside but inside. And no one seemed to question this as a thing. It seemed totally fine. Well, you can't be inside because of COVID, so you have to eat outside. But we can't eat outside because it's cold, so we're gonna build a house outside where then you're gonna be able to eat inside but outside. Okay? Totally fine. This is complete rationality. No problem whatsoever. And everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, this makes sense. 100% correct. Yeah, I'm gonna actually get inside that cocoon, and I'm gonna have myself a meal in a even more closed-in area with someone. I'm going to actually put myself in a tighter space outside with people. Sometimes four people, whereas you can be in a restaurant with a lot of air and more space. No, we're gonna actually do the opposite of what's safety, and we're gonna strap ourselves down into a small cocoon, and we're gonna have a meal, and it's gonna be totally fine, and we're gonna make it rational because we're going to just talk about it and not mention the silliness of it. We're just going to talk about it as it's completely 100% rational, and because people are just so concerned and I don't know, don't want to think. Everybody seems to be fine, other than like making jokes about it. Oh my god, this is so funny. Okay, well, let's eat, and that's about the gist of it. Well, that to me was one of the sillier things that I've seen uh, happen. Number two was the nose mask. You can go right now online and you can purchase a nose mask. It's just a mask that you use. You take off when you sit down to eat at a restaurant. You're allowed to take your mask off, right? Because it's well known that the virus can't touch you down here where you're sitting down. It doesn't go down here. So you can take your mask off and everything is fine, right? When you stand, you got to put it back up, put it on again. But when you sit, you can take it off. Now there is a nose mask that you can put on, and it goes over your nose, and you can actually put it on when you're right before you're eating. And let me see if I find it here. I can't find it here, but I was gonna look for it, but I was thinking it's too silly to even show a picture of anyway. But there are videos you can go online and you can see people sitting down, taking off their mask and putting on a nose mask just so they can cover their nose but still eat. So this is sort of a semi protection where you cover your nose and you can still have a nice meal and enjoy your meal with a nose mask on. Number three, um, my wife's a teacher. She teaches ESL, English second language. And she's been, for the last year, she's been teaching at home, virtual teaching. But they recently have gone back in the last couple of weeks. And, but the students haven't gone back yet. So what they've decided was she was doing virtual teaching from home on the computer, everything is fine. So all the teachers now are going to the school, but the kids are not going to the school. So now they're doing virtual teaching from the school. So it's the same thing that they're doing from home, but they just went to school and they couldn't bring the kids in because there wasn't enough plexiglass to put around their chairs because all the kids now are in these little uh, covered things. Um, so so now she's on her way to work. She's on her way to the school, and she's going to be sitting down in a chair in front of a computer, doing exactly what she's been doing here with kids in their homes because they're not allowed to go back yet. Um, I find that silly. I find it. I say, you know what? Just keep things here. It doesn't take a human being that long to adjust to something. People they don't give us enough credit. Human beings can adjust really quickly to things, especially if you're in present time and you're aware of your environment and you know where the hell you are in life. You can look around and you can say, okay, I am here right now. This is what I'm involved in, and now I got to deal with this. I got to confront this. If you're not in present time and if you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what's happening, this is so confusing, well, then that's your life is like that anyway. Wherever you go, you're going to feel that way. But teachers are generally very, very good because they have to be in present time because they have a lot of kids they have to be responsible for. There's a curriculum they have to stick with. There's responsibilities, so they have to be on the ball all the time. Teachers are very, very resilient. They can deal with anything. They're dealing with like a room full of kids all the time. So they could have waited till everyone was ready to go back, and then you have a big celebration, and all the kids come back, and you have to put your plexiglass around the kids' chairs if that's something that you really feel it's needed. Even though it has been suggested that the CDC said the kids don't have to wear masks. Listen, if you want to do that and you're happy with the fine, go with it, enjoy it. Um, that's fine. Number four on this made up list that I just made up. Um, I was on the PATH train, and listen, I'm all for safety. You have to wear your masks, but I'm more for following the rules than wearing the mask, right? I follow the rules because that's the rule, and I don't want to be the guy that's you know getting in trouble because he doesn't want to follow the rules, right? Whatever. I put my mask on for the benefit of others so they can stay happy and feel comfortable and safe. So on the PATH train heading from New Jersey to New York, there was a couple of things. There was one announcement that came over the air where the recording said, please make sure you wear your mask. We can see you if you're not wearing it. Creepy. So now, people talk about, 1984, and boy, did he get that right, huh? Big Brother watching and all that stuff. I mean, it's such an obvious thing. I mean, look at what's happening. We see you if you're not wearing it. So they're actually out there looking, making sure. There was another sign. There was a lot of signs on wearing your mask, but there was one particular sign where it had two people on this side wearing their masks, two people on this side wearing their masks, and one person in the middle kind of wearing his mask the way you're not supposed to wear it, over, like, not covering your nose. And then there was an arrow pointing to him. Don't be this guy. It was like mask shaming, publicly. And I thought, wow, they can add that to a lot of different things. They could not only do that, but they could also add it to maybe people who don't use deodorant and smell, and have people like this. Why don't we have signs like that around, separated from this guy, and he's standing there with holding the thing. Don't be this guy. He smells like butt. They could also have people who eat on the subway. I've always hated that. People who eat on the train. It's just disgusting. First of all, it's a disgusting environment to eat in. You got 100 people around you breathing, and you're here eating food. Is disgusting. So they should have a guy eating and have people around him, like, and then say, "Don't be this guy or gal." Right? We got to be fair to everyone, guy or gal. And they can do that with a lot of things, right? They should do that. I mean, if you're going to shame people, let's shame them all around. Let's do it. Let's get this show on the road. So a lot of things that I've run into have fallen into this category of, like, rational and just completely bonkers. That makes no sense, right? Um, there was talk about getting your pet uh vaccinated. Dang, I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about this. I haven't heard one case of COVID death on animals or dogs, cats, whatever. But somebody had suggested this, and I thought it was a joke. But apparently, there's some kind of a thing starting that's you might have to get your pet vaccinated. It might be a special vaccine, a special Alpo vaccine that they're coming up with, um, that will help your pet. Um, Next thing is that there's absolutely the silliness of oh, this is the next one. The next one is they had a marching band, and the marching band, obviously, the trumpets and the horn section cannot play their instruments with the mask on, so they just cut a hole in the mouth, and they're playing their instruments through the hole in the mouth. Now, if aliens would come down, they're not coming down because they see what's going on down here. People killing each other, people rioting in the streets, people, children starving from not having enough food around the world. You know, if they're aliens up there and they're looking down, and if they're out there and they're able to look down and see what's going on here, why would they stop here? It's an insane asylum when you really look at it from above. You know what I mean? And it's just not a pretty sight for a place to visit. It's not going to be a vacation spot for aliens. I tell you that much. Unless they want to come down and sort of abuse us in some way. And but there's really no resources that we have down here that they're gonna want. What do we have? An iPhone. They have way more technology than an iPhone. Games, sports. They probably don't care about that stuff. Music. Maybe the music will save us, because I think music is universal, and the melodies might actually make them enjoy, and a reason to actually come down and communicate. Anything else? There's nothing else here. What do we have? Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops are really tasty. They're really tasty. They might like Fruit Loops. You know what I mean? So why not Fruit Loops? But if alien Fruit Loop loving aliens do come down and they see what's happening around here, they're just going to leave. They're going to be like, well, these people are, this planet is on its way out. I mean, they're just, look what they're doing. They're having the musicians wear masks with holes in them. Just complete insanity. Um, so, so as you start investigating where these things come from and who's creating these. I mean, obviously there are legitimate concerns over viruses, right? And before the pandemic, whenever I came, whenever I would come from New York to my house, I would always come home and first thing I do is wash my hands because the subway is disgusting. The people, touching their noses, and I've seen it happen. I've seen people go like this and then touch the pole. I've seen it happening and I go, "Oh my gosh, this is why I try not to touch the pole, but if I have to, I'm aware that I just touched that pole." This was way before the pandemic. This has been how I've been living my life. My whole subway New York City life has always been this way. I've always been very, very aware of this. And it happened because when I was younger, in school they talked about, germs and bacteria and things like that, mainly germs, right? And viruses and stuff like that. And these things can stay there for hours sometimes, depending on what the virus is and the environment, whatever. So I always did that. And when I would get home, I would wash my hands. And I'm going to tell you something. It was the most shocking thing. When I leave a clean environment, which was generally the church in New York, I would wash up after my class or after I ate dinner, whatever. And I would just come home and take it. When I come home, I wash my hands. My hands are black. Like I wasn't touching anything. I wasn't breakdancing in the middle of 42nd Street. I don't know what was going on, but my hands would just get filthy, and it would be something that I have to resolve. And that right there is proof. So I've always been doing that anyway. So it's a smart idea to stay vigilant, clean your hands, know your environment, know what you're touching. Don't touch your face whenever you touched anything. Those things are common sense and have been spoken about for a very, very long time, right? So that should always be in play. That should always be in play because not because of fear or anything like that, because other people are just irresponsible and somebody sneezing into their hand and then touching the thing. And it's just like if you sneeze or whatever, you gotta be aware of it and maybe use the other hand or do something. But I've seen that happen, and that's just the irresponsibility of people in general. So because of that, it's sort of like when you're crossing the street. If you have the right of way and it says walk, I still look both ways because they might be some idiot that's just in another world. He's not in present time and he's just driving. I gotta get my things and I gotta go there and I not thinking about it. So I always make sure I look either way, no matter what, right? Just be cautious of it and be aware and know that some people are just not really all there all the time, which is fine because we need something to entertain us. And so these are just a few of the things that I wanted to talk about today. It was just some silliness that I see happening. Has nothing to do against anything. I'm not against anything. I have my own opinions, obviously, which is I'm entitled to have opinions. I am entitled to communicate those opinions per our constitution, and I am also entitled to um, give a viewpoint. I'll have opinions, but I also have different, I have viewpoints on those opinions. It's not, I think, if you have your immune system strong, and you're taking supplements and you're not eating sugar and you're not eating a whole bunch of carbs and you're exercising, you have a better chance of not catching something in general, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu. Well, there's no more flu. The flu is gone. But whether it's COVID or whether it's something else down the line, your immune system can handle a lot of things. But and that doesn't mean you can't get sick. So you still have to be careful. You still got to wear your mask. You still got to wash your hands. Do the things that the CDC says to do. So this way you're safe, right? But also in the back of your mind, have some rationality about stuff. We are going to come through this. We are going to be fine. I don't know when things are going to start loosening up, but they will be loosening up at some point, and I think it's going to be soon. I think people are just coming into the warmer weather right now. People want to start enjoying themselves. They want to start, seeing their friends again and having a more human interaction. It's not a natural thing to be separated from humans, right? We are a species on this planet, and even though you know humans that live in this chunk of land and humans that live in this chunk of land don't get along sometimes, and they have wars. That's a tragedy. But we're all here. There's nowhere else to go. We are on this blue little speck of dust, floating through space, or floating wherever it is that you believe it's floating through. Here we are, and we're here on the same terms. We're here with the same opportunities. Some of us unfortunately are born in areas where you really have no chance, right? And that's an unfortunate thing, and those are the ones that we have to try to really help, right? um, but this is where we are right now, so we have to make sure we take responsibility for our fellow man and be part of the solution, right? Like it says right here in The Way to Happiness, little booklet that I send out. Again, this is not a religious book. This is just a common sense guide to better living that we have at the church that we give out. And a lot of them basically, you know, safeguard and improve your environment. It's one of them, right? This is a great one because this is exactly what we were talking about, basically, right? Take care of yourself, take care of your business, take care of your own area, take care of the planet. um, there's a couple of other ones here. Be competent, which is also a big one. Look, make sure you understand what you're looking at. Respect the religion of others. Treat other. This one is the one I'm talking about. It's the golden rule, right? Try to treat others as you would want them to treat you. Very, very important. Very simple to say. Sometimes really hard to do. But if you stay aware and you stay in the present and you have it in your heart to just be positive and to try to help others, these silly things that are around us and that humans do, you can look at them and say, wow, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I'm going to respect that person for wanting to follow the silly rule, and just grant them that right to be that, as long as it's not really impinging too much on your own personal freedoms. You can, wear the mask and all that stuff, and and make everyone that really is thinking that it's the most important thing, give them that respect, because they've been watching the news. Who knows what fear that has been instilled in them, and you have to give them some type of a respect on that. So, all right, folks, silly people out there are really entertaining. I hope I'm one of them, and I hope I've entertained you today. I hope that you found value in what I was saying today. And I just want to wish you a wonderful day. I will be back tomorrow. Make today great. Do the things that you love and take care of yourselves. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.